SME Professional is cloud-based property software that can be accessed over the internet by as many users as you wish. To log into the system, you simply place in your company ID, your username, and your password. The first page that we take you into is a list of all your properties under management. So we don't go to any of the dashboards or anything else at this stage, which we'll show you later. With this here, you'll see that we've got a search up at the top. Now this is a real-time search, so as I actually start typing, it filters through all the results. So I can type in part names of properties, I can type in postcodes, I can type in anything that's in the tables. And this is across the entire system. So if you're looking at landlord pages, tenant pages, anything like that, that will work as such. Up in the top right, you can also see we've got a site-wide search. So that allows us, for example, to search for a phone number, and it'll come up with a list of contractors, tenants, landlords that may match that telephone number. What you'll also notice is against the property notes here, you can see, for example, star A, which means an alarm code, star H refers to holidays, star G, which for example refers to gas cover. Now, if you hover over there, you can see that note comes up. So the intention with these important notes is that we separate them away from the day-to-day correspondence so they don't get lost, and also they're at the forefront of your system so that people don't actually have to go looking for that information. And these important notes will also appear all through the system in various different places. So for example, when you go to generate a work order, the user will have seen these important notes 4 times before they generate the work order itself. What you can also see up here as well is an advanced search. So I can come in here and open up, and I can search by the rent, for example, the number of bedrooms, all different parameters here, and the results will filter underneath. And on top of this, I can still also filter by the real-time search that I showed you before. So the system is very, very quick to find any information you need to. And if you wish at any point, you can press copy and simply paste that information into Excel if, for example, you wanted to capture another place or do any additional work with it. We've also got a full integration with Google Maps. So you can see, for example, on the left-hand side, you can click here, and up come all the properties that you've currently got under management. So for example, you can see 7 properties in Glasgow here and 193 properties in Edinburgh. As we zoom in, you can see the system breaks them up into different areas. So you can see there's 20 properties in this area, 4 properties in this area. And as we continue to break it down, you can see that we can see exactly the split across the city. In the software as well, we've also got the ability to get directions to a property. So you can simply click here, and on the right hand side you can see exactly how to get there. And what you also see is the system's brought in live traffic reports for all the streets on the way there. So you can see, for example, all the streets that are red where the roads are busy and congested, or green where there's currently free traffic flowing. On the left here, you can see we can actually provide a number of different filters on that information. So you could see on the map all residential properties for let, or all residential properties for sale, or commercial properties for let. You can also see properties that are maybe more than 90 days since they were last inspected, and that'll bring up in this view. We've also, of course, got a dedicated inspection software area as well. You can also see maintenance issues that are currently open. You can search by employees. You can search by open viewings, and you can also search by routes. So you can actually define routes around a city or routes to encompass different towns that are nearby, and place different properties on those, and then view those properties on those routes. In order to create a tenancy, you simply go to the Create Tenancy page. You can select a property. And what's quite nice again about the property search is that we can actually start typing, and again it's real-time search, so you can find information very quickly. So if you've got 2,000 properties in there, start typing, get a filtered list. When you select the property that you wish to create a tenancy agreement for, you would see a list of all the tenants associated with that property. So in this case we've got 1 tenant, but this could equally be 3 tenants sitting in this table here. You'll also see some information about any guarantors and that side of things. With the date of entry, you can simply set this here. So you can say, for example, set the 17th. You can see the rent amount is 2,100, and that's been brought through automatically from the advertisements that you had maybe on the portals. We can also set pro rata. So say, for example, you collect on the 1st of the month, you can click here and it'll calculate your pro rata rate. And obviously, collecting the 1st of the month can help reduce your rent arrears as well, because obviously getting the collection at the same time often as the salary is being paid. With the calculation of the pro rata rent, we've actually got two modes for that. You can either set it to do the amount of rent per month times 12 divided by 365 to give a day rate, which is what the majority of letting agents will typically do. Or alternatively, you can set it at a based on the month. So for example, if the rent's 2,100, the rent will be more per day in February than it will be in January, which is probably the more legally correct way of doing things. So you can have either mode that you wish in the software set there. You scroll down, you can see we've got final warning on all your safety certification. So you can see that the PAT certificate's not in date and there's no valid Legionella risk assessment. So again, user at this stage, you would not normally get to the stage that there's actually one sitting there in red because there's an entire management system for the certificates, but this is a final check by whoever's generating the tenancy agreement. You'll see as well we've also got the option to send out an electronic signature. I'm going to disable this for a moment, but we've got integration with Signable, which is a UK-based electronic signature system very similar to DocuSign. And what's nice about the system is that's actually integrated directly into the software, so you don't have to generate any documents, then go into another system and upload them and send them. Our system will literally fire them out to Signable, and it will also be able to allow you to chase anyone who's not signed it yet, just at the simple press of a button from within our software. Over here, you'll see there's the ability to create documents in email. If I press that now, it'll now generate all the legal documents associated with the property. In this case, I've set it up to generate Scottish legal documents, but we've also got it set up for English legal documents as well, of course. So you can see here supporting notes for the private residential tenancy. You can also see the tenancy agreement that's been generated, and this is all dynamic, and it's brought things through, merged up fields, everything's complete in it. And as well, we can import tenancy agreements into it in Microsoft Word format, and it'll generate them all for you. At this stage, you'll also see the standing order mandate form has been created, and you'll see here we've got a unique reference, and this is P for property 45, where that's the ID of the property, T for tenant 1525, where that's the ID of the tenant. So what you can actually do is if you give the tenant that code for paying their rent, with our system, you can input your bank statement and auto-detect all the rent transactions for you. So, in some cases, our customers have got maybe 5,000 tenants, just literally press a button, input their bank statements, and most of their accounts work's been done for them in assigning those lines. So there's no need to manually enter every rent as and when it's paid. What we've also got is an email that's generated. Now this email can be set to anything you wish it to be, so this can be set for your business. When we email out with emails in the system, they'll actually go in they'll come from your email address and that side of things. They'll also get copied into your Outlook inbox as well, but that will get sent out to the tenant or other interested parties. And you can also put links to documents and that side of things in this document, in this email as well. The software has the ability to upload to all your marketing portals and your website. For this, you can go to the published marketing sites. And you can see here you've got a list of all your properties that you currently have on the market. And what you can also see is the range of different portals that we can feed to. So for example, we have Rightmove, Zoopla, StuRents, On the Market, Gumtree, Letting Web, CityLets, S1 Homes, and a range of other sort of local portals as well for people, other portals as well, such as DSS Move. On this page here, you would only see the portals appearing that you actually have an account with. So you'd have to have a monthly subscription with each account that you have. And you can actually have multiple copies of each account as well. So if you've got, for example, 3 separate Rightmove accounts covering different areas that you operate in, then you can have them up here. Where you have sales and lettings as a business, you've got 2 separate marketing feeds to control both your sales and your lettings properties to allow them to be managed independently. And what's also quite nice about the system is you can actually fine control it, so you can switch on and off a particular portal depending on your usage. We've also got a separate mode from this mode. So this mode is you press a button to actually publish whenever you want to, so you can control it as you wish. We've also got a bulk upload option that operates in the back, so that can be set to go every half hour, 1 hour, however often you wish it to be so. On the viewings page, you've got the ability to organise all the attendees and properties that are on the market that are wanting you wanted to have viewings for. It's really straightforward to use. You can simply add a viewing into the system. You can select which property it's for. Up will come any important notes, including, for example, maybe a 2-person visit note to advise you for safety. You might want to send more than 1 person to the property. You can set what the start time is of the viewing. You can also define of course the end time of the viewing. And if you wish to, you can actually set how many intervals you wish to split the viewing into. So you might say you want 10-minute intervals and don't want any more than 12 people in each interval. And what that can do is then link into your website, so that in your website, when people are looking at a property, they can see viewings that are available, and they might all book up 20 past 10, for example, or in this case 20 past 9. That would then disappear from the list, and 10 past 9 would still be available, and half past 9 would still be available. And you can actually tie that up as well with qualifying the tenants beforehand, so you can ask a series of questions before they're able to book the viewing. We've also got the ability to integrate with Office 365 calendars and Google calendars. So you would simply select which calendar you wish to put the viewing into and hit submit, and that would be placed into their calendar, so your member team would be able to be out at a property, see all their viewings up on their mobile phone, tablet device, laptop, etc. What's quite nice as well is it means that when someone's actually at a viewing, they might be undertaking a viewing, and while they're doing so, somebody might phone up the office saying that they're really desperate to see a property and they're just around the corner. Someone in the office can then book them into that viewing, and the person undertaking the viewing doesn't need to be phoned or spoken to. It'll just literally appear on their phone and say there's another person attending towards the end. It's really straightforward again to add people attending viewings. You can put all their details, or you can bring them in from the list of potential tenants, and you can also stagger their time through the viewing as you wish. Once you've added the viewers, you can see the number of people attending. So there's 2 people attending this viewing, one person. The items in grey are ones where no one's yet attending. And you can see here, if I open up the viewing, I can see the name of the person attending, their email address, their telephone number. And when I added them before, this email would automatically pop up. So it says, "Dear Sam, this confirmed appointment has been made to view, in this case, Albert Street, on this date at this time. We've recorded your telephone number as this." And then the system embeds a Google map telling you how to get to the property, so you reduce the chance of them being late. We also underneath show any cancellation instructions. And what we also do for many of our customers at this stage is embed a link for notes of interest following the viewing. So tenants can effectively come straight out of viewing, go onto their mobile phone, press a button, and submit all their details and any qualification questions about them actually wanting to take the property. On the day of the viewing, if you wish, you can just simply text them. So this is a reminder regarding your appointment to view this particular property. The text messaging is provided by a company called Bulk SMS. You would need to take an account separate to us with them, and then we can do the integration so that it talks to Bulk SMS. So what's also quite nice with Bulk SMS is that as you fire out the text messages, if that tenant then replies to that text message, you can set it so the response comes back in as an email. Over on the right hand side here, you can see that you can email the owner. So for example, if I press here, it says, "Dear Miller and Chloe, with reference to your property, we've arranged a viewing on this date and this time. Should receive any feedback of interest, we'll be in touch following the viewing." You can also send similar emails out to current tenants to advise them that the viewing is going to be taking place. And you can also text and email everybody cancellation of the viewing if it's maybe been taken already. We also have here a complete button. When you hit complete, an option will come up asking if you want to request feedback. So that will then fire an email to everybody who attended the viewing. So again, you can say hand on heart to your landlord, you always ask for feedback. So you can imagine with this section, the fact that it maybe saves you 5 minutes per application in terms of all the different emails that are being sent out automatically. And again, with the text messaging, it's got the additional benefit of separating your employees' mobile phones from those that those are visiting the properties that you don't have any sort of formal relationship with yet. On the left hand side here as well, you can see there's a viewings and a viewers report. So for example, I can click on the viewings report and it will show me how many viewings there have been for the properties in the last 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, or 30, 60, 90 days. And it also has listed all the future viewings that you have booked up for that property. Likewise, we've also got a viewers report, and this shows how many people attended those viewings. So for example, it might be 17 people attended as viewers over 3 viewings. SME Professional has a dedicated maintenance section. When you come into this page, it will show you all the maintenance issues that you've currently got open over your business, and they're all colour coded to show the priority that you have on them. So where this differs from so many other systems out there is that traditionally you might have gone into, for example, property, gone into a tab for maintenance, placed a maintenance issue into that tab, and then very much it was encapsulated within that property. And say in older systems, what you might have then needed to do was to go and generate a report, which would be a static report, and as soon as you generate it, it might show all the maintenance issues you have, but it'll be out of date as soon as it was generated. So with us, if you imagine the pages themselves are the reports, but combined with that, we put the workflow and the filtering on top as well, so it makes them incredibly flexible and powerful in terms of what they can do. So over here, you can see the option to add a report. I can simply select property. Again, if you remember, we've got those important notes, so we can see those up here. And we've also got appliance and warranty notes as well up here, so if you've got any expiry dates from that sort of things, they'll appear there. There's various different parameters you can fill in here. The most important one's the maintenance issue. If you fill this in sensibly, this text here will be used to email out to the landlord, the tenant, property managers. It'll be included in the invoice, so it can save you a bit of time. You can also, from a GDPR perspective, set whether or not the tenant is happy for their details to be passed to a third party, i.e. a contractor, and whether or not they're happy for the property to be accessed without them present. You can define the priority of the job, low, medium, high emergency, and you can also define a maintenance category as well. So you might want to look at some statistical side of things with this and see how many jobs of each type you've been doing. Now when you get here, you've got the reported date, you've also got the latest note date. So it might be that one of your members of your team has gone off on holiday, so you can say, wait a minute, that's 4 weeks old, but hold on, it's been 2 days since somebody last took an action on it. And as well as that, with any notes connected with a maintenance issue, rather than placing them and busying up your correspondence or history logs, we place them in here. So again, you can see how many notes there are, 16 notes, 3 notes, etc. And you can very, very quickly find information on a property. So I'm going to search for actually Belvoir here. I can hover over and I can see notes there just by quick hover over. What you'll also see is here's the maintenance issue we've written about, and if I come here and send the landlord a notice, it'll bring in information about the landlord, and I would like to bring to attention the following maintenance issue: no hot water in the property. Again, all the text in these emails can be defined as you wish them to be, and, or the generic ones in there to begin with. You can send tenants notice, you can also email property managers. Over on the right, you can see that we've got important notes. So this is again the important notes that you saw at the beginning. So this is now the second time that you're seeing those important notes, or sorry, rather the third time since you added the report. You can also, on this page, you can tick here and it'll confirm that the landlord's happy for you to proceed. We've also got an option called accepted, and the idea behind this is that we had a customer come to us a couple of years ago and they were giving out, for example, 10 sets of keys to a contractor to undertake some work. They'd go into properties 1 to 7, then they'd go to the property 8, the keys wouldn't work on the door, and they'd forget to tell them when they came back that they hadn't done that particular job. So by ticking accepted here, you can then filter to see any jobs that have been accepted and not completed. And likewise here as well, you can say show me any jobs awaiting invoice, or where the invoice has been passed to finance, or show me it by employee, show me it by when it was reported, show me it on a map, filter by priority, etc. Now on here as well, you've got the ability to chase the contractor. So in this case, what it does is because there might be multiple staff members at a particular firm, it'll just work at the time of day and go good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and it'll ask for advice on progress in the job. And again, that can be set as you wish it. You can also define the date and time that the contractor is due to visit if you wish. Over in the top left area here, we've also got an integration with Fixful. So for example, here you can see we've got 2 issues waiting to be assigned to properties. So if you've got a Fixful account and your tenants have reported a maintenance issue on there, the system will allow you to see those having appeared in the maintenance section. You can press assign, and that will effectively allow you one by one just to confirm you're happy for those jobs to go ahead, and they'll drop down into the maintenance section. If you want to generate a work order, you can simply press the plus button over here, and you can see the name of the contractor, the property, you can see the issue that's been brought into it. You can find out in red here whether or not the tenant was happy for their details to be passed, etc. And if you want to pass the details over to the contractor, simply press here and it'll drop them into the work order for you. Moving further down, you can see again that the work description's been included from your initial logging of the maintenance item. And down here you can see, for example, there's the no hot water in property again, so that's the item, the description put in the maintenance item itself. And we've also got an amount, a limit effectively on how much the quotation can be before proceeding. So for example, that can be set against your business as a whole as a standard amount, or if a particular landlord's got their own limit, you can put that in there, so they could have a limit of £500 maybe, or £50. Moving down further, if you remember our important notes again, here we're now seeing them for the 4th time before generating a work order, but this time they're in table form, so you really can't miss them. We also politely at this stage remind you of any tenant arrears, and if there was a landlord float or something like that, effectively that would be sitting down in this table as well. Further down here, you'll see open issues and closed issues. So closed issues, if we press that, it allows us effectively just to double check that we're not that we're not repairing something, for example, for the 5th time and going to embarrass ourselves by doing so. Moving back to this page, you can see as well that we're able to look at any open issues. So that's making sure that 2 tenants haven't reported the same issue. Down here, you can also see create work order. So if I press this, that will effectively generate the work orders to go to the contractor. All the information in the job there, it's all dynamically populated, and also again a customizable email that you can place any information in there you wish. You might even have some supporting documents or reminders that their public liability insurance always needs to be in date. To add a property, we go to properties, add new property. And you can define the management type, manage let only, advertising only, etc. You can define the status. So for example, we've got unoccupied on the market. We've also got occupied in the market, tenant check period, awaiting tenant move in, etc. These can also all be defined for you with additional ones. We can also define secondary property statuses if you wish to have any customized lists there also. If you've got any internal references from previous systems, they can be placed in the field here. We can define a key fob reference, and we can define how many sets of keys we might hold. This will all filter into the key management systems. We've got a very comprehensive key management system that we can talk about later. We've also got key hook number, so you can define what key hook the key fob sits on. So for example, a landlord may come back from New Zealand to take back their property. They might be on property hook number 46. When that property goes back to the landlord, that key hook then becomes available again and goes green, available for use in the drop down in the hook number. So it's quite a handy feature. You can define your inspection route. You can define teams, fee earners. You can define details about HMO properties. You can put in lots of information. I mean, this is all optional. You can ultimately put in how many bedrooms that are in the property, and if you wish to, you can say that that compromises 1 single and 3 double, but that's not necessary. And you can see here lots of other features that you can choose to fill in as well. Down here we've got further lease details as well, excluded facilities, shared facilities, private facilities, whether the property's in rent pressure zone, etc. Features, loads of tick box features and additional text features that you can complete. Preference is a nice feature in the software, so you can define whether or not the landlord wishes you to do the gas safety certificate, and you can define whether or not they wish you to do, for example, the PAT test. So the landlord may have a brother who is an electrician, in which case they might say they don't want you to do the EIC or the PAT test. In that case, you set this once on the property when you first add the property, and then that filters through into all the safety certification management section. So again, when we get to that section, you'll see how this information all filters through. Descriptions, you can put in descriptions. These push through to the portal, short description, long description, window advertisement description. With these descriptions, if you've got someone in your team that's got a particular flair for writing window adverts and that side of things, they can write templates for different areas. So you might have, in this case, Marchment as an area, and you might have a template for if it's a student. And likewise, you might have a separate template for the area that's more applicable to young professionals. Maybe they talk about good bus routes into commercial areas, or talks about nearby restaurants, that side of things. Photographs, you'll see all displayed in here. I showed you earlier on when you upload it against a property, so that's the same feature there. Utilities, you can set your MPAN number, meter location, isolator switch location, serial numbers, electricity suppliers, prepayment details, etc. All filled in here. And you can also define, if you use any of the swap over companies, you can define there which ones being used and whether or not landlords wish not to use them for their particular property. We've also got a finance tab here. With our system, rather than storing the financial details against the landlord, we actually store them against the property. That gives us far more flexibility, but we can talk about that further when we're talking about the finance side of the software. And finally, you can store mortgage and insurance details against the property. System's very flexible as well, so again, if people have got additional fields that they need added into areas like the property section or the tenant section, we're always happy to consider them, get them added into the software. In SME Professional, you can view all your tenants on one page. So you go tenant, view tenant, and you get a list of them here. And again, you can filter by phone numbers, email addresses, by their names, or by the property they live in, actually see them in there. What's also quite nice is if, say for example, I want to send an email to this person, I can just press a button here, I'll come up, Dear James, fill in all the information, subject is the property address, you can start typing. You can also quickly change their status if you want to in the property, and there's various different other actions you can perform in here. For example, emailing them various different emails, login details for their portal systems, emailing them tenant application systems. And we'll go into the tenant application form a little bit later on, but the tenant application form allows you to fire out a link to a potential tenant, huge big dynamic form that allows them to fill in all the information to save you having to do so, and the tenant will light up in green as they complete their form prior to their move-in. So again, something that will save you a huge amount of operational time. If you want to add a tenant into the system, you simply press Add New Tenant. You can define their status, their right to rent, put in their details. You can define telephone numbers, set them as preferred numbers, same with email addresses. You can add pre-tenancy addresses and work addresses, forwarding addresses, post-tenancy addresses, capture national insurance, passport numbers, housing benefit numbers. You can, lots of information there, whether they've got pets, whether you've agreed to pets, whether they are a smoker, whether you've agreed to smoking, various different consents for GDPR. You can define dependencies in the property. So for example, if a daughter's at a property, first name, surname, date of birth, or maybe an elderly parent as well. Up here you can see emergency contacts. Press here and you're allowed to enter information about them and the relationship with them, and there's 2 different emergency contacts you put place in per tenant. We've also got the ability to add in guarantor information, financial details if you wish to store them about the tenant. If you're manually doing any references, you can put previous landlord, higher education, employer, character references. Again, this can all be filled in directly from the form, the tenant application form. Employment, you can add all different employment history, and also here you can see all different dates associated with that particular tenant. When you then go to submit the tenant, you have the option to link them into a property. So you can select the property they're going to be moving into, and there's various different information that can be filled in this form, and when you hit submit, the system's able to email out lots more additional information to them as well, which can all be brought in as required. Adding an owner is very similar to adding a tenant. You can effectively click Add New Owner, put in all different information about them. You can set whether they're resident in the UK or abroad, in which case the NRL number comes up and the option to deduct withholding tax. You've got, again, other details from emergency contacts. With the other details, you've got the ability to put in landlord registration numbers. So obviously this particular feature is only applicable for our Scottish customers and those in England with areas in which landlord registration numbers are used. You can also track other things, for example, such as whether they've consented to general marketing from a GDPR perspective, and also where they first heard about you, so you can track where your inquiries are coming from. We've also in this one got options for adding solicitors, accountants, but again, all this is entirely optional and it's up to yourselves whether you want to add it in. When we go up here, we can view all our owners and landlords. So again, you can see the details here, and you can see the properties you've got under management with them. And it's all very straightforward to use. The inspection section can be found in the menu here. This shows how many days it's been since any inspection that you've had. So for example, you can see over here, if you reorder by this column, you can see that these properties have got no record of any inspection, and these ones, for example, have been 120 days, 113 days since you last did an inspection. This can work quite nicely to make sure that you have a sort of optimal inspection of your properties. You don't end up, for example, if you've got 2 streets parallel to each other, one property manager may go to one street one day, book in 90 days later, the next property manager goes to the next street, the next day later, and again books in 90 days later, and the inefficiency continues. So by continually ordering by the oldest inspections first, you can get the best route out there. You can also say how many days since move-in, and so you might do inspections 6 weeks after move-in, and then 3 months thereafter. Alternatively, you can set routes for the properties. So you can see this property is in route 7, this property is in route 3. If I click here, I can select a time window for all the properties on that route. So that will put an inspection in for those. Over on the left, you can see I've got a button here. This allows me to email the tenants in the property. So, dear David, advance notice of inspection on this property. With this text, again, it's all can be customized by yourselves. Over on the right, we've got the key fob and hook numbers, so you've got them straight to hand if you want to go and grab keys from the cupboard. And you've also got the important notes here with the red star A and star H for holidays, star A for alarms, star G for gas cover, just for your reference. And you've got also whether it's an HMO property as well. With the properties, you saw before you could see them on the map, but you can also add inspections of different types. So for example, you have a general periodic or a HMO, inventory, move in, move out, pre-move in, loads of options in there. With each different inspection type as well, you can either show all the dates for one particular inspection or all the dates overall for those properties, including all the inspections. The safety certification and compliance section can be found in the property menu here. On this section, we'll show you any certificates that are due to expire in the next 4 weeks or which have already expired. Or alternatively, you can choose to show the ones due in the next 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 52 weeks if you wish. Alternatively, if you prefer to look at it in a different manner, you can select a start date for them. So you can say, show me all the ones that appear in December, for example, and you can always be looking ahead to what's going to be going on in the next month. When you go to add a certificate, it's very straightforward. If you're adding them for the first ever time in a property, select the property, put the certificate date in, and it defaults to 1 year later to avoid any potential user error. You can select the contractor and the certificate type. You can see there's a large range of certificates available for you, and place any comments in there and simply press submit. Once that's submitted in there, it will not appear again until it's, for example, 4 weeks to go or already expired. So it's quite nice. Effectively, you can actually build into your schedule that maybe once per week you just come into this section and you move through it quite quickly to instruct all the certificates. And the way to do that is you just literally press a button and it will send an email with or without contact details to the contractor that undertakes those types of certificate. So you can see the job number, address details, type of certificate, bedrooms, key fob reference, and any text that you wish to put into that email as well. We decided to instruct contractors with an email in this section. It tends to be that, unlike the maintenance area, maybe where it's generated as more formalised work orders, you've got a much closer relationship with your contractors who do the safety certificates, and sending it out by email can be a quicker, more efficient way of doing so. You can just literally click down the list and out it goes. The next two columns here are optional. They're whether you've informed the landlord and whether they're happy for you to proceed. Most people will cover this off in the terms of business, so these are entirely optional. You don't need to click them. But once a new certificate is instructed, you can see the date here once it's been confirmed. And once you receive a new certificate, you simply press the button and it's defaulted the dates again. You can adjust as required and hit submit and add the invoice as well if you wish. So it's very, very quick to add new ones in as well. Now, one quite nice thing about the software is with many other software packages against maybe a gas safety certificate, you might just have a date box on a property. It doesn't show any past history. So if you accidentally put flat 9 against flat 7 in a block, that's overwritten. Whereas with us, we store a complete history of all the start and end dates for all certificates over all time against each property. So it can be very useful to keep that in there. Here as well, you get the key fob and hook number as a reference. Again, you can upload the certificate if you wish. And this column here confirms whether or not your agency is to do it in the first place. So against the property, you can define whether or not, yes, you're doing it, or no, you're not doing it, because the landlord might have a relative who's an electrician. As well as this, you might choose another member of staff to perform an audit maybe every 3 months. So we've got a safety certificate audit page, and this page is actually now displaying all properties by certificate type. So here we have all landlord gas safety certificates against the properties, and you can see these ones in green show that there's a certificate and date, and the ones in red show there's no valid certificate. You've also got no gas supply at property if that's been set against the property, and you've also got property preference set to no if again the landlord doesn't want you doing that certificate for them. If you're lodging deposits, the software allows you to export them directly into your deposit scheme. So you can come to the deposit balances page. So rather than going into, for example, TDS or Safe Deposits Scotland, you can come and you can come into this page and it will show you what current deposit balance you hold, how many days it's been since a move-in, and what the actual deposit requirement is. And it's really straightforward. You can just, most of these dates, of course, if you've got deposits there, you want to keep these under 30 days, you just simply select the properties you wish to, export, go over to the left-hand side and, for example, click SDS export. That'll create a file with all the tenant information, landlord information, property information, and you can just log into your deposit scheme and import that file directly. So it saves you a lot of time with data entry and reduces the chances of any typing errors. You can add a contractor from the menu up here. And in here you can put down whether they're approved, not approved, whether it's a landlord contractor, past contractor, you can put their contact details, you can put in membership body, gas safe numbers, what type of company they are, payment details. And under insurance you can also list your professional indemnity insurance, employee insurance and public liability insurance. With the software, it allows you to assign all different services that each contractor offers, and then you can search against those services as well. You can also see a main page where you can see any of your insurance going out of date. With the contractors, from a financial perspective, we've got a contractor summary area that we'll discuss later, and this allows us to see exactly all the payments that are due to the contractors at any point in time, so that single click of a button you can generate a back schedule to them or generate their invoice or any sort of remittance advice, depending on whether you've got commission payments due to them or anything. Our task management system allows you to add a task against a property for a date, the due date or follow-up date, title, description, who it's been assigned to in the team, and it also integrates with Office 365 calendars and Google calendars. So if you select that there and hit submit, it'll push it into your calendar to see on your mobile phone or on your desktop. When you come into this page, you can see all the tasks, and you can see any subtasks that are still outstanding against an individual task. So if I open up this task here, you can see that 4 tasks have been completed and 3 are still waiting to be completed, and I can simply tick here when it's been complete. What's nice about these individual tasks is you can actually define these workflows. So for example, if you've got individual procedures for example, a move out, you can go and define a move out procedure, and then every time a move out is happening, you just assign against the property and it will drop into this task management system here. If you're a bit more old school as well, you can generate the documents as PDF documents, and they'll have tick boxes down the side to allow you to tick on the property. In the software, you can log any correspondence. So if you select a property, you can select the nature of the call, for example, a complaint from a neighbour. It'll default to the current date and time. You can tick whether any actions required, any notes and any resolution. And at the bottom of the page, you will also see contact details for all the tenants and all the landlords. With the system as well, if you go to view the correspondence in standard table view, we developed the system so that if you have, for example, 1 million records, you can actually just start typing in that table and it'll find anything coming up. So say, for example, 5 years ago, a chimney breast came off a building and nobody can remember which property it was for or which contractor did it, but they did a good job. You might want to find that information, type it in, and straight away they'll come up all the filtered results for you instantly. In the correspondence, we've got another number of other areas. For example, we've got a template document area. This allows you to upload any Word documents you wish, put in any merge fields, and the system will generate that and fill in information for tenants, landlords, whoever the document's been sent to. It also allows you to convert those Word files into an email to be sent out, or alternatively, you can actually send it by electronic signature, which is integrated with the Signable integration. The software's got a loaned item section which can be seen in the admin menu. In this area here, you've got the ability to add a loaned item, select the property, and you can, for example, choose a dehumidifier, heater, ladder, water heater, or other items you might be lending out to a tenant. So this allows you to make sure you don't lose a dehumidifier or heater, which can often happen when there's been a boiler, for example, might have broken down. We've also got a mileage log. So staff can come in here and they can log any miles they're doing between properties if, for example, they're using a pool car, or if you want to record their own mileage in their own personal cars, and maybe you give them mileage rates for which it will calculate the amount you're due to them. We've also got an advertising board log, so you can click on your board, your property, which contractors putting up or taking down the board, and the system allows you to send emails out to these contractors to instruct erection of the board or removal of the board. You can then again tick it when it's returned, so it drops off the list. We have a full key management system in the software. If you go to Admin and Key Log, you can see all the keys that you've currently logged out. On the left-hand side, you can add key movement. You can select property, and you see straight away we bring up the key fob reference and the hook number, so you can go straight to the key box to get the key set. When you come back with a key set, you can say which set number you're logging out, time, date, who's responsible for it, and who it's been logged out to, for example, a contractor, and hit submit. On this page here, you can also see, for example, if you hover over here, you can see which keys are actually on that set. So you can set those again to keys if you wish to. That's entirely optional. And also you can chase the contractors by pressing here to ask for the keys back if they've not been returned yet. Once you have them returned, you can simply click the button here. And in addition to this, we've got lots more different views to see how many total sets you hold and that side of things. With the software, we also have a full integration with systems such as KeysApp. KeysApp is a system that allows your key fobs to have RFID tags in them that you can swipe in and out. If it's of interest to you, we're more than happy for the support team to contact you on this. When you do get started with the software, we've actually got a fantastic help section. So you can come up here. If you click on this, it will give you information about the page that you're on. So for example, adding certificates for a new property or any troubleshooting and that side of things. So every page you go to will have articles dedicated to it. However, you can also at the top here, you can search for articles. So if I'm looking for information about the FixFlow integration, you can type FixFlow up here and I'll become various bits of information upon that. And as well, if you search for something that's not recognised in the help section, we actually get reports on sort of failed searches. So we're constantly updating the help section, adding new articles to help people and also to allow them to find them. Coupled with that as well, we've also got email and phone support. So you're always welcome to give the team a call and they'll help you as much as they can just to get you achieving what you're looking to achieve. But if you have any questions at all on anything you've seen today, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us at support@smeprofessional.co.uk. Many thanks.